Hey guys, welcome to another episode. Today we are doing some updates to my Astro City, right here, Astro City.
Today we are going to be installing some new speakers as well as a reproduction marquee on the Astro. So we're going to start off by using some Logitech Z5500 speakers. These actually mount to the Sega stock speaker mounts exactly perfect, so no modifications are needed. And then we're also going to be using an OvercomeArcadeParts Sega Repro Marquee for the Astro City. We're going to start by taking apart the Z5500s. They have a mesh grill in the front. Pull those off. Then there's 4 hidden screws behind these little rubber grommets. You want to pull those out. And then lastly on the back there's 2 Phillips screws to pull the terminal off. Once you get all those out, the speaker just kind of comes apart and slides right out the back. Okay, so one of the speakers is fully disassembled. You can see how beefy these magnets on these speakers are. So these are actually going to pack quite a punch compared to the stock Astro City speakers that we have inside now. Both of our speakers are now fully taken apart, and we've discarded of everything else outside of the actual speakers themselves. So let's go ahead and get these into the Astro.
Time to do some updates on the old Astro City. So what we're going to be doing first off is we're going to be pulling off this entire front part of the cab. So the control panel kind of lifts up, and there's a few screws in the control panel, and then we're going to be removing this whole front shroud because our speakers that we're upgrading and our marquee that we're upgrading are actually right up here on the top. So we're going to start by pulling this bad boy off and pulling out the old parts, putting in the new ones. Right, got the control panel unlocked and lifted. And basically what we're going to do is just remove those 3 Phillips head screws right there, and then once those come out, this whole front shroud will come off. So our 3 screws are out. You can kind of see here where they went. One here, one here, one here. And yes, I do know that the control panel is still very, very dirty, but we're in the process of doing all of our upgrades, making sure they all work, and then this thing will get a full and complete tear down, and we'll get all this kind of like funk and stuff out of here. But for now, we're just working on our upgrades. So one thing that you got to remember too, if you have an Astro, when you go to pull the bezel off, is this is your speaker wire here, your connector. So you actually have to take this one off in order to pull the top off, because this wire actually goes up behind the bezel all the way up to the speakers. So now that those are out, we can go ahead and remove the whole front part of the Astro. Alright, so here you can see the whole bezel is now off of the cabinet where we're going to be working on it, but we actually need to flip this thing over and actually get to the back of it. All of our speakers and everything you can kind of see here. The speakers kind of rest behind here on both sides, and then we got our bezel here. You can kind of see like the color fading from here. It's all kind of washed out and really not colorful anymore, so we're going to go ahead and pull this whole piece off and put it in our new parts. So I'll go ahead and flip it over and kind of see what we're working with. So here's our backside. You can see our speakers here, kind of sitting there. We're going to be pulling those off, and our Logitechs should fit exactly onto these mounts from what I'm told. But we got to go ahead and pull this whole front marquee part out as well. So go ahead and start pulling this stuff off. We'll start by pulling these speakers and seeing what we'll work with. So I found something interesting. I don't think these are original stock Sega speakers. Here's kind of what I pulled out, and these are marked as Coast loudspeakers. These do not look like any of the speakers I've seen on the wikis online, so not quite sure, but this is what we pulled out, and this is actually what we're going to be putting in our Logitech speakers. And apparently they have the same exact mount. You see how beefy these bad boys are. So we'll go ahead and take this, remove the other one here, and then kind of go ahead and put it onto the bezel. Alright, so both speakers are removed. Now what we need to do in order to change out our marquee is we've got these nuts here. We got to go ahead and pull those out on both sides, and then this whole front piece should kind of just come out of the front. We can test fit our new one. So let me go ahead and grab some tools and pull those out. Okay, so we've gotten that out. Our speaker grills are sitting there, and here is our old marquee. One thing I do notice that's different is you can kind of see it here. The side of this actually has like a beveled edge, and the Repro that I bought does not have that. So I don't know if this is going to fit or not. So we're going to go get the new one. We're going to pop it on and kind of see how everything fits. But looking at this, I don't know. We may be putting this this old guy back in. So let's go ahead and kind of see if it lines up. Okay, so looking at it, what I think they did is I think they actually made this one slightly like shorter. Because you look up here, you can kind of see the difference between the two. This one has like a little like clear, like beveled edge on it, and this one doesn't have it. So I'm thinking that they just made this one a little shorter to compensate for it. So what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and install this new one here. You can kind of see the color differences here. Put this new one onto there, and then we'll flip it over and kind of see how it looks, if it's flush or not. Alright, so we got it installed. It feels like it fits. We're getting a little visit from the local house tiger, C3PO. How you doing, bud? Trying to help out. But anyways, you got this on there. It actually does fit. There's not like, it's kind of hard to see, but we'll flip it over here in a second. But it feels like it's flush, like looking at it. So we'll go ahead and flip this over before we put the speakers in, and then kind of just see how everything's looking. So we'll be right back. Alright, so yeah, so what's happening is this new one does fit. It's just like maybe like 2 millimeters short, and it doesn't have that beveled edge to kind of fit here. But when you kind of back out and look at it, it looks totally fine, I think. So again, the main real difference here is you've got that like kind of edge that would kind of fill that little bit of a gap, but I don't think it really looks that bad. I think it's really hard to kind of tell. But it's there, and we got our speaker grills back in. So now we go ahead and flip this thing back over and actually do our speaker install. Alright, just a quick look. We do see here, here's our Logitech speaker, and when we line it up here onto the mounts, the holes do perfectly line up. So these look like exactly kind of drop-in parts here. And we even have the terminals on the side. They match up to the stock thing. Now these might have been changed out too. I'm not 100% sure. That looks like an aftermarket quick disconnect, but it works out because that's actually what we need for mine. So we'll go ahead and get both of these in there, and then we're good to put this thing back on. Alright, we got both speakers mounted, no problem. They fit perfectly. They actually even stay behind the little retainer pegs here. Both sides on. So we're going to go ahead and put our wires back on, and then we'll flip this bad boy over and kind of see what we're looking at with our new speakers and marquee. Alright, and here we go. We have our brand new marquee on. It's got some fingerprints and stuff on it. We'll wipe all that down, obviously, but you can see the color difference on this thing. It looks fantastic. Really, really happy with everything here. It looks great. The speakers look good. Again, you can kind of see the little holes here for everything, but everything lined up great. So I'm going to go ahead and now bring this back into the arcade, put this back on the Astro, and kind of play it, see what it sounds like. Okay, so the front of the cab is back on. You can see here everything now lines back up. So we'll go ahead and put our new 3 screws back in. And let's not forget to take our speakers, plug those back in. So let me get those screws back in, and then we'll go ahead and fire it up. Alright, so we have everything bolted down in here. We can go ahead and flip this down, and we will go ahead and pull out a board, pop this bad boy in, see how she's sounding. I went ahead and pulled out Twin Tiger Shark, our Kickstarter game. We'll go ahead and start this up. It's going to be hard to pick up over the internet, but it actually sounds much like clearer and crisper now. So yeah, we'll be playing around a bunch of different games with stereo audio. That's actually our next upgrade that we're going to be doing on this. Is I actually have a stereo amp coming in. We're going to go ahead and add stereo sound to this, because right now this does not have the amp in it, so we'll add that, and we can just do a little switch under the control panel for mono or stereo. But it looks great. I'm going to go ahead and turn the light out so you guys can kind of see the color of the new marquee. Looks really good compared to the old one. It's kind of, you know, the old one was kind of washed out, and these letters look a little washed out, but in person they're really not terrible. They're a little faded, but not awful. But yeah, this is looking great. Really happy with the quick little mods and upgrades. And you know, for not that much money, you can pick up some Logitech speakers on eBay, pop them in there, and new marquee on eBay as well, and then give your Astro some new life. So pretty pumped with it. This cab has come out really good. Again, our next upgrade is going to be our stereo sound. And then we'll probably tear the whole thing down and give it a really good cleaning, rewire some stuff so it's not as all tangled up and janky, and then we will call this one a wrap. So yeah, this is the Astro. Really pumped with how it's come out. Pretty awesome. So next video we'll be working on on this guy over here in the Blast City. We're working on a Tatsunoko versus Capcom Wii arcade setup. So I've got it kind of running, but we're going to go through wiring and all that fun stuff. But that'll be for the next episode. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care of yourselves. One quick thing I did want to add is not having that beveled edge in the front actually does allow a little bit of light leak. So you can see here if I kind of press down on it, some of that goes away. So probably what I'll look at doing when we rebuild this thing is actually adding like a bit of like a black foam tape that I have here to kind of fit along the bottom. You can see like towards the corners there's like no light leak, but as we get towards that middle part where the beveled edge would kind of cover that, there's a little bit of light leak. Again, it doesn't look terrible. It's just one of those things where, you know, you're used to kind of looking at it. You can kind of see here, like in the middle, as we get closer towards the center, there's a little bit of light leak. So, just something to think about.